Welcome to the Portress podcast for Wednesday, the 22nd of March, 2017. This is Matthew Sullivan, and with me, as every week, I have Craig Jones. Hey, Craig, how you going?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. How you doing?
This is it, mate. Round one coming up. We're playing Sydney at the SCG, 4:30 Sydney time, Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Adelaide time. This Saturday, 25th of March. So at the SCG, we haven't won there for about 10 years. Been a fair while since we even beat Sydney. We really do go against all the odds in this game. Everything we'll talk about the odds, and we'll talk about the underdog status and the round one kind of curse for the opposition. We'll talk about the fitness going into this game and who's going to be going in potentially underdone for both sides. We can have a quick look at Sydney as well, mate, just to get an idea. I guess essentially this is going to be a real great opportunity for us when it is against all the odds. Your thoughts? And good evening. How are you?
It is definitely against the odds. The only thing, there's two things that are really probably in Port's favour is usually Sydney have a bit of a slow start to the season. I know last year they came out pretty well, but that was against bottom side. So there's that, and then also if you look at what was I reading? In the mix, Sydney are going to be down a few players for this game, so it'd be interesting to see what team they bring to the game, because they're not going to have Jared McVeigh, they're not going to have Isaac Heaney, they're not going to have Gary Rowan or Tom Papley. None of them will be playing.
It's interesting. When you had those, you remember when like Buckley wouldn't play, and so then suddenly they'd get up for him though, or other stars in other sides, and you kind of think, that's right. I've got to remember it's a team game. And so hopefully the boys don't relax because of that. I just don't think, I can't imagine the unprofessionalism of our, round one. You could not have been waiting for this any longer than, it's just that what motivation do you need other than just round one? And so the fact is, for your motivation,
there is.
Go ahead.
There is one other big motivator for this week's Port, and that's our captain, Boki.
Exactly, 200 games.
200 games, man. So if that's not enough bloody motivation to get the boys over the line this week,
congratulations, Boki.
I don't know what is.
Exactly. Yeah, no, we've got a lot to play for. It's round one. I would think if I was one of the players, have just look. I don't know how much they read the media and listen to things, but it is just pretty clear that we're going in as absolute, not a chance in hell. I saw when I was doing my tipping things, I'll go to my tipping thing here, my tipping comp. Forget the Port Adelaide Footy tipping one because that's a tad biased. But the percentages, for people that were tipping against, excuse me, sorry for that. The percentages, right. Port Adelaide, 3% Tipster's Choice, 97% on the AFL tipping competition.
Yes.
Wow. 3%. I don't know what to think about that. That's just depressing. 1% on the SEN footy tips. 99% of the tips to Sydney. So we, that's 2011, 2012 stuff, isn't it, Craig? This is tell me what you're thinking about how this came out of the blue. Were you expecting this? That people were. We were just talking before the show started. Wanted to share the story about my phone call with SEN recently. I called. I listened to their tip top 18. The table for the year, the ladder predictions. KB, the guy called Greg Denham, on the SEN Sports Entertainment Network in Melbourne. Those guys were tipping Port Adelaide to be 16th on the ladder, and I had to call in. I was looking at very logically. Koshi says that he's gone by the top 8. If he doesn't make the top 8, 9 or below, we're out. Koshi's gone. Sorry, my apologies, not Koshi. Koshi will get rid of. It wouldn't just be Ken. He would then have to do an overhaul of the whole coaching system, and everyone would then have their kind of positions looked at. So there's this real interesting debate about some of the people, like I saw on the couch on Monday night. Jonathan Brown was essentially having a shot at Koshi and just saying, this is pretty ordinary, not a real supportive thing from the CEO, from the president. Whereas you've got Buckley being looked after and by what's his name? Forget his name now.
Maguire.
No, it wasn't Maguire. It was Maguire's the other guy under him. So forget his name right this second.
Oh, yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the defender for Gary Pert was saying. Purdy was saying that but Buckley's going nowhere, and what he was essentially saying, Nathan Buckley was putting his job on the line, and he was being tough, doing the tough talking, and Collingwood was saying, no, we're more realistic than that, because they don't want to lose Buckley. Whereas here, Ken's agreeing with Koshi, and Koshi's really harsh, and so I'm thinking, I'm looking at it logically. These guys are saying, so I called up. I said, you're removing Ken from the position, like that. You don't think Ken will have a job next year? Like, essentially, I'm shocked. I'm here going 16. I always thought throughout the preseason, we're talking 11 to 12 at worst. So look, and there's probably other Port supporters and a whole lot of obviously non-support supporters, and definitely Crow supporters probably thinking 16? No, 18. So we do have to balance out with the bias and with the, I don't know, just doing the numbers, I guess. If you're trying to find the numbers and where do you fit an up-and-coming St Kilda or Melbourne, where do you fit a potential promising Gold Coast, where do you fit a rising Brisbane? So eventually you can't just fit, 10 into 2, they've got to be squeezed out and pushed down. But I'm thinking, wow, they're just... If Port Adelaide was a city or a suburb, essentially in Victoria, would we be 16th and 15th? Who knows? I don't think so. I can't imagine so. I think there's this is horribly, not horribly wrong. It doesn't matter. It's predictions that they're just thoughts and opinions, aren't they? But I'm really shocked that that's the opinion from people outside of the club.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I showed you last week with the AFL's website's predictions, not many of them were really nice to Port Adelaide, I can tell you that. I was shocked when I saw half of the things they were predicting, and not only were a fair few of them putting Port in the bottom 4, they were throwing up headlines that we will see, and it was basically being derogatory towards David Koch and
China.
Saying, China's going to get, Gold Coast is going to get all of the fans, Port's not going to get any, and Koshi gets all upset, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, my comment on that was to you, I said, geez, they're putting in the boots, aren't they? I mean, it really is just, it's nasty.
But it's not just that. It's not just that. How's this for a headline we won't see this year? AFL columnist Ryan Davidson. Oh, I hope you hear this because I'm not liking this. Headline you won't see for 2017. Power surge saves Hinkley. We will not see that this year according to this arsehat.
Yep.
Screw you, Ryan. Screw you.
See, Craig, if are any of our players human beings and emotional and get pissed off and just have just put that little article or something, print it up and put it on your mirror in your bathroom or something. I don't know. There's people that just absolutely believe you guys are just going to basically fall over and just be a complete waste of time and just filling the numbers out there, just to go through the motions. So, do they need any more motivation than just being told they're just all completely they're footy fuck ups?
it's hard to really say. I mean, what I'm actually hoping is now that the pressure of Port not being in the finals, according to everyone else, is gone. That's long gone, and they're basically all writing us off. I'm hoping that'll just be enough of a surge for them to turn around and go, oh shit, they don't believe in us anymore. Maybe we should prove to them that they should be believing us in again, and they might actually be able to polish their skills a little more and get up to bloody playing some good football this year, hopefully.
Well, we've seen the positives there throughout the pre-season. Can these guys deliver week in, week out? Are we, where do you realistically see us finishing at the end of this season? Have you got us in the 8, or are we in top 10 or something?
Oh, I reckon would be somewhere in top 10 to top 8. I think we can just make finals with the run we've got. I can see us potentially winning a few close games if we can keep our composure. Like, as I said, I can see us even winning this week. If all the stars align properly, we could potentially win this week's game. Round 2, Fremantle here in Adelaide. Freo don't necessarily have the best track run here in Adelaide. I know they beat us last year over there, but that's a potential game we could win. Then the showdown, they're always 50-50, so you can throw that one down to a coin toss to see who will win that. And out of the first 4 games, the only one I see is definitely not winning is the Giants in bloody Canberra.
Yeah, it's going to be a toughie.
That would be very tough. We don't play well in Canberra for some reason.
Yeah, no, I've seen that record. Do you still feel that there's a fragility in our team, in our structure, in our just on field throughout the minutes of the game? Do you feel like we're still missing a strength in our leadership that's kind of having us fragile for 10, 15 minutes? We've seen it in what we saw last year. We've seen in this pre-season. So it's. Are we going to suddenly imagine we'll not see it at all? That's unrealistic. What would you be saying to the team? What would you like to see that will, I guess, kind of not allow that? I mean, to see the kind of trend that we saw in the scoreboard trend and that scoreboard pressure in the last JLT game.
Jeez, that's a hard one. That's hard to bloody answer.
Because I think, to answer my question, to kick it off, to give you an idea of what I'm saying, I mean, really we need to be first 5-10 minutes of this game coming up, we need to be putting in 5 to 10, 5, 6 forward 50 entries and really just putting that pressure on, really just not giving Sydney any space. In that midfield, we need to really be making sure that we're at least getting our fair share of centre breaks outside because it's a shot. So that short ground. The minute it's out, you're gone, and it really is. It's one of those grounds where your momentum's just a real mother. It's tough. Once you've got the ball, once you get the ball, it's very difficult to get your hands off it, especially when you're the opposing side. At the SCG. They know
it is a hard ground to play on.
Yep, they know how to play that now.
Especially with the way Port's been wanting to play the last few years, with the slingshot, fast style of football. On small ovals like that, it just doesn't seem to work.
No, because
it makes it very hard.
You're playing with the number of players on the field. I've heard that saying before. You're playing in a phone box. It's tiny. It's a really small ground. I've been there.
One I wish the AFL wouldn't use.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty ordinary kind of for an AFL. I mean, I've been to the ground before. No, it's very very small. It's you can recognise that.
Yes.
It's not deceptive in any way. Yeah. So, and your thoughts to the head versus heart and your tipping? Do you think we got a chance at all?
I think we have a slim chance. I don't think it's as bad as what everyone's thinking. I mean, the AFL side's predicting a 40-point win for Sydney. So
yeah, like I was saying, 3 to 97, percentage in votes. Yeah, so I mean it's. Well, I look. Head says, yeah, no. Well, if I was putting money on it, I won't be. Don't bet me. I'd be saying Sydney. Yeah, I think I just have to go that way. That they're the better side by results in the past. But what is the X factor that our side's got? I think the thing I'm a little concerned about with our side would be that what we have, the power and the strengths we have. Do we know all our strengths? I mean, that's the thing going into I just feel like there's an I don't know if the right proper word for it is, but underpreparedness or whatever. There is a lack of preparation, a feeling of lack of preparation. That is an undertone of that. Do you know what I'm talking about here? Do you get what I'm saying? And I feel like I'm scared it's going to be exposed, perhaps even by Sydney in one quarter next week. And if it's not, then great. Then some of the things that are coming off and the success we're getting, like we did in that third quarter. Hopefully, also some of those things aren't just by chance. I really would like to know that Port Adelaide are not. If there's a success, we're not just winging it and playing out of our skin. You'd like to think that there's an actual structure and it's not just that bomb kick that's just and it just pays off. Oh, okay. That, you know what I mean by that? I'm concerned that when we get success, sometimes it's a little arsey as opposed to the deliberate intention to kind of go that way. Your thoughts on that? What I'm trying to get out there?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying there. I think the X factors for us could be potential debutants for us and not 100% knowing what they're going to be like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm now actually hearing a potential 4 players that debut this week.
Yeah, well, let's go through our predictions on that. So we're saying Eddie, SPP.
Eddie's a definite.
Eddie's a definite.
SPP will be a definite.
Okay, so we've got locked in 2. Would you be going with Dan Houston as the next one? He went upgraded.
They're saying it's a possibility as well that Houston could be a very strong chance to go into the fence.
See, I was thinking... yeah, okay. Well, I was thinking for the 4th one. Now, I was not really... To be honest, I thought there'd only be 3 debutants, but the 4th one would have to be then Atlee. Is that... That's what
I've been hearing.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to work out how we're going to fit them all on the team, though, because, as we said earlier... Hinkley is all but certain going to play Broadbent this week because he wants his most experienced defender in the side.
Yeah, let's have Port Adelaide coach Ken Hinkley has all but guaranteed defender Matthew Broadbent a spot inside for the round 1 clash with Sydney at the SCG on Saturday. Broadbent missed the entire JLT Community Series with a hamstring injury, but he's back to full training and available for selection. At 146 games experience he'll be vital for the Power, who have a young backline, and after retirement of Ali Paddy Carlo last year, we really do need his experience up there to support people like Hamish and Homshi and Cleary. Pittard we're missing now for another couple more weeks, so Brody will be an important addition to our side, and obviously we haven't seen him in the pre-season, so it's a little concerning, but also if he's ready, and hopefully he's had enough kind of a training and he's ready to go, then hopefully he's potentially a trump card or just an extra factor that we kind of haven't seen mixed with some of our new guys that might be very, very exciting. And I'm looking forward to. I'm glad he's back, and I'll back the club in here. Hopefully it doesn't backfire on us that he's not ready.
That is definitely true. But looking at all those, it's hard to then try and pick. So now, say we're going to have 3 players come into the team that played 2 weeks ago against Hawthorn.
Mm-hmm.
And we played 24 players. So we've now got to drop 5 players from that team to bring in 3. Who are the 5 we drop?
Oh, so now this is the Hawthorn game?
This is back from the Hawthorn game. So you go by how they played well. So you look at it. The bottom player, Matthew White, he wasn't going to play anyway.
Yeah. So White will be gone.
The next one from that is Joe Atley. He's sitting right underneath there, but they're still saying he's in contention to play. One thing that I'm worried about from his stats from the Hawthorn game, though, is he didn't get one kick. It was all handballing.
Robbie Gray will be coming back. So don't forget that. Add Robbie Gray.
So Robbie Gray will be coming. That's why I'm saying. I'm trying to work out for Robbie Gray, Wingard, and Broadbent, for those three to come in, who are the five that have got to be dropped for those three to come in?
Need.
Well, yep, Need's the next one on the list there. Impey is a definite out because of suspension.
Okay, there you go. So you got Impey, Need.
So that's three. You're still going to drop another two.
Impey, Need, White. Who have we got? Let's go through them real quickly. Carl Amon, maybe? But he did pretty well in the pre-season. He scored a couple of goals.
He played some good football, so I would be hesitant to drop him. But I'm just going by, from the 24 players, if you go by the AFL fantasy points, I know it's not the easiest, not the best way to go by it, but if you go purely on the fantasy points, the worst five in the game were Matthew White, Joe Atley, Jake Need, Jarman Impey, and Travis Boak.
So Impey, Need, and White so far, mate. I'm trying to think of anyone else in our back line. Impey, Need, and White. They're my only three that I can think of. And you're asking me to get two more out of there. Can't think. Can't.
I'm just trying. Look, there's they're saying Houston play, Power Pepper to play, Hartlett to play. I'm guessing Burn Jones will play. Does Bonner come out?
Who?
Bonner.
He played on the weekend too, didn't he?
He played on the weekend.
Yes.
So did Sam Gray.
There's four.
And then you got Sam Gray.
Yeah, maybe Sam for Atley.
So are we going defensive heavy in this game? So if you drop White, Need, Impey, Bonner, and say Sam Gray, you're going to have Broadbent come in, Wingard. Yeah, that could work.
Wingard's all right, no, and
I mean,
Atley comes in for Sam Gray.
So really, it's going to. I reckon it could come down to whether Bonner. It would either be Bonner, Atley, or Houston.
Oh boy,
it'd have to be one of those three.
Look. It's nice to think that there's some selection hassles and selection worries going into such a big game against the big opposition.
Yes,
that's really good. I mean, from what I've heard, Pittard's the only injury on the injury list. So.
Oh, besides the other two that we still have there.
Which would be Logan Austin and Dougal Howard, of course. No?
No, just Dougal, sorry. Dougal.
Just Dougal. I haven't looked at her
Logan played last week.
Of course. I haven't looked at her injury list for a while, so sorry about that.
That's all right.
So what's our injury list at the moment now?
Pittard and Howard.
That's it. Okay, cool. Well, there you
go.
The
third one I was thinking of was Broadbent, but he's listed as available.
Cool. No, that's interesting. Yeah. So, do you have a tip? Do you have a margin? Do you have an idea going into this game?
Port by 2.
2 points. Oh, I've said Port by 1 since the fixture came out. So I'll stick to that.
That is me being a little generous. So I am very hesitant on that 2-point win. If we can match them and keep going hard and stay relatively close to them for the entire game and say kick a goal after the siren, what was his name now? Why am I forgetting his name? Back in bloody 2002
for Port Adelaide.
Yeah, the guy who kicked the final, kicked the goal after the siren to beat Sydney in Sydney.
Oh, Jared Polton. Polton,
that's it. Yeah. Yeah, let's have another Polton from this time Brett Eddy, sorry.
Whoa! I love the Crow Tards will love that.
My bad. Brett Eddie, get him to kick a goal after the siren and beat Sydney this week. That'll be awesome.
Eddie Brett's Brett Eddie. Eddie Betts Bet Eddie. I know, it's funny, isn't it?
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard this year.
That's funny. Let's talk about the man of the hour, the man of the moment for this game, Travis Boak. 200 games. What a star. I mean, the guy, when he came into the comp, what's your thoughts on Travis Boak when he first came in back in, what would be now, 2007 was his first year. So he came in about 2006 with it and was picked up in that 2000. He played 2006 and started along with Hamish as well, I think. So, no, Hamish was 2008.
He was playing 07.
Sorry, yeah. So he played the 2007 season.
Yes.
And was there on grand final day.
Yep.
He's the last remaining player on our list from that game, I imagine. Is that right?
Made his debut round 12, 2007.
There you go.
Pick 5 in the 06 draft.
What a dramatic introduction to footy that season. Poor bugger.
I think wasn't he picked up the same year as? Oh no, that was a couple of years beforehand. No, I was thinking of.
And I think
who was he drafted with? Robbie, wasn't he?
Robbie
He was
Gray.
drafted with Robbie.
Sure. Yeah, maybe Robbie Gray as well. Robbie was a later pick from my memory, and so
correct.
Yeah, so we didn't. It's funny, some of those kind of big stars always be the later picks, isn't it? It's a quirky turn of events. Shows you sometimes the whole draft and the number one pick doesn't always kind of pay off.
No, very true.
So let's have a little, just to listen to a reflection on Boakie's career. We've got his highlights here.
Back in, lead to Boak, gets the kick away, wobbler, goal! It might be the breakout game for Travis Boak. And Melbourne, a 1-point game down to the last second. What will this be? Oh, that's something from nothing. On the other hand, is that he's insisted on possession of the Travis Boak kept going, played on, ran inside 50, touches the air as soon as he hits it, and they get it. Kick of the ball, thinking about going short. He's got Lowy inside 50. Ignores that. Keeps it low. Winger takes off. Heads up the boat. The captain sees West off. He's in the square. He doesn't need it. Getting a little hot here. Been going around. He couldn't contain it. Westcott could. He's sweeping forward again. Looking dangerous. Boat didn't panic. He steps again. Does the skipper. Pumps it in long. Tries to break through.
War of attrition in some respects, but good football. The scoring football coming from the power. Both steps and takes another one.
Training went hard and had it away early, but the Eagles will get the first clearance. Hutchins kick. Smart Boak with a big collision. It hurt. Travis Boak from the pocket. Got it all. This is exactly what it means, Boakie, and the skipper of Port Adelaide to keep his team well and truly alive. It's less than 2 goals.
Yeah, wow, I was hoping that will pay off. Just audio, just hearing that would be enough. Everyone will get a chance to have a look at that. That's Travis Boak's career highlights on YouTube thanks to the Port Adelaide Footy Club. And that was exciting and motivating. And I thought when you look at some of those highlights, come on, let's get back to that. The run, back each other, support each other. Everywhere, all those highlights, everyone was, just shepherding, doing the right thing, looking after each other. It was funny just to watch what could have been for the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely hoping for that, man. He is a really good player. He just needs to get back to that and has to have the players around him to back him, so he's not just trying to do it all on his own.
That's right. I mean, that's the thing. Travis has always been to me one of those players where, unfortunately, I've never. You look at someone like Selwood, and you look Selwood. If Boakey was in the Geelong side, I'm pretty sure Boakey could have enjoyed Selwood's career. I'm saying my point is that I think they're both as good. Maybe Selwood has enjoyed and blossomed to another degree, maybe a little easier or whatever by being around that side, that Geelong side, and Boakey's had it a little harder and not really had that support. You can see, for example, I think back if I just reflect on his career and you look at 08, 09, 10, really hard. Everyone was almost first from the beginning. For the first 3 to 4 years, he dealt from 06, 07 after especially what happened in 07 and 08 and then in 09 with what was going on with our club and all the stuff that was the Choco stuff. And there was always this underlying pressure that, he's going home. He's going back to Victoria. That stuff stopped the minute he was a captain. And he hasn't had to deal with that for the last 4 or 5 years. But prior to that was all. It's always been about him going home. And obviously, if we look at his career, if we just reflect on it's interesting. 2010, 11. What was going to happen once Choco gone? Then he was close to Matty, and then what happened there? Was he going to go? I think it's always been it's been one of those careers that is had few. It's been some great moments, no doubt about it. He's loved Port Adelaide. It's been really good. It sounds funny to say what I'm about to say, but it's had some seriously friggin' dark moments on and off the field. The J-Mac thing, from the J-Mac thing to 2000, like I say, without putting, I said it lightheartedly before, Craig, but welcome to the AFL, son. 119-point thrashing in grand final, and your team's going to be a joke, and you'll be part of history forever with something that you cannot. That stench will be with you forever. Welcome to the game of AFL, and in the meantime, his buddy is part of Geelong's kind of thing, and he gets this right. I commend him for sticking around with us. 2012, 2013 to make that commitment. Shows what awesome person he is. I've had the privilege of chatting to him just in a relaxed nature and just actually hanging out with him at the footy club and seeing him at different occasions. And he always gives everyone 100% of the time. There's no airs and graces and bullshit about him at all. He's a really just decent bloke, really nice guy, and he's very, very friendly and very professional. And I feel like I can see him being the captain and getting us through this. And hopefully, this season, both in his footy acumen or his footy ability as a captain, but also the way he handles this club and gets everyone to play to their optimum is really on his shoulders a lot. And I hope that he's one that really needs to prove the press, the fans out there that are of opposition sides, and essentially everyone that's doubting that doesn't believe it will do well. He proves them all wrong.
Definitely. He's been one of the shining lights for our team since during the 08, 09. He's one of our better players. He's always been one of my favourites, and yeah, I really just hope he does have a good year this year. It's almost going to be a make or break year if you really think about it for a lot of people.
I see that. I genuinely see that, mate, both on and off the field. Yeah, you only a year ago, I reckon we were worried about Matty Nix being taken. And now I think Matty Nix couldn't probably get us an opportunity to coach an SANFL side. I swear, like, Brendan Lade comes back, there's a lot he needs, the pressure on him, and he needs to be kind of fierce about making sure that he gets the best out of Matt Lobie. Otherwise, Matt's gone, and it puts doubt into whether Lady can do his job. And I think there's going to be a lot of questions for a lot of people here. Are we going to see Tringove in the forward line all year? How long will it take? How long will it take before we just go back to default and put Chad in the forward line when we're saying he's going to play more in the midfield? Or
Yeah, that's true.
Are we going to see these 10 to 15, 20 minute just absolute brain fades, and the guys just disappear? What are we going to see? I find it frustrating. Like I said to you before, I fear that we don't know our plan still. I fear that if you looked at the game plan, you go, it somewhere on the line it says, and hopefully we just do well. And I don't want to see that. I want to see definitive.
No.
This is going to happen. And if they start just, why should I believe that Port are going to not just be bombing it to Dixon and Dixon's going to drop it all the time? I don't want to become one of the jaded Port fans or sound like not an opposition, but I essentially be echoing their predictions. I don't want to be saying, Ken, what's going on, mate? I don't want to be getting angry and frustrated. I really don't want to. If we lose, and we could lose by 2 or 3 points or 10 or 15 points on the weekend. If we literally lost by 3 or 4 goals, then I will be. But we're competitive, and you could see us just stick at Sydney all game, and we were right in it right until the last minute. Then, or last 10, 15 minutes or so. Then I would say, look, bring on Fremantle and let's get on with this season. But so, what are we going to see? Can we see a win? Who knows? I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do.
I can definitely see us getting a win. But I just want to go back to what you were saying about Brendan Lade. I don't necessarily think his career at Port Adelaide is make or break solely on Matthew Lobey.
Oh, yeah, no, I think it would be... I agree with you there. I just feel like him coming into a side where now suddenly there's a pressure on him straight away because his coach has got he's on the chopping block. And so... there's a lot with what's going on with Lobey. So it's an interesting time for Lady who... Yeah.
But I'd say if he feels that Lobey's not going to cut scratch at Port, I'd say, Lady, focus on Billy Frampton, focus on Peter Adams, focus on Dougal Howard,
totally
focus on the young ones, 100%. Get them ready if Lobey doesn't want to do what he has to do to get himself in the right spot. Focus on those younger boys and get them right. I would rather see these younger lads coming through.
We may be there already. We may be there already.
Well, that's what I'm hoping is okay, let me rephrase that. I do hope Lobey can still find that spark he needs to get him formed back to AFL standard. However, I don't want Lady to just focus all of his attention just on getting Lobey back up to scratch if he feels he can't do it. As I said, Billy Frampton at the moment, I would say, would be in line after Patrick Ryder at the moment, because I do not have, after what I saw in the JTL series, and I just don't have faith in Lobey at the moment. So I'd say Frampton would have to be number 2 guy at the moment, with Dougal Howard a distant third, unfortunately because of his injury, and Laddams being, if we're going to have to use you, we're going to have to bloody use you.
Well, we've got Jacko, of course, as well, so...
Oh, Jacko as well, but I don't see him as a ruckman. He's a pinch hit ruck, who we had to use as a ruckman last year. So, for me, I don't see Jacko as a true ruckman compared to Frampton. And I have a feeling if Ryder needs a break, Frampton's going to be the one to give him the break.
I was going to ask you, do you feel like Billy will get a look in this year? I reckon he'll debut early in this season.
I don't know if it'll be early or not. It depends on how Ryder's going, how we're doing with our ruck structure. If we desperately need to switch around and have Jacko go back to defence if we're desperately needing him there, then I can see Frampton coming in as another second tall forward with Dixon and Eddie being in there and him being the pinch ruck with Ryder. I could see that happening if our structures aren't working quite right.
All right, mate. Well, let's talk about what the headline is going to be on Sunday morning. What are we going to see in the paper for the post-match Power versus Sydney game?
What we definitely definitely think's going to be the case, or what we hope is going to be the case?
All right, give it to us. Let's go with what you think's going to be.
Properly? All right.
Yeah, genuinely, what do you think is going to be the headline?
I feel it's going to be the case. Valiant Port tries but fails against Sydney.
I think it's going to be.
I'm hoping we'll at least come out and give it a good try, be within 2 goals, and they'll at least say, look, well, they took it pretty well to Sydney, but couldn't get it quite over the line.
All right, brace yourself, Port fans. Downpour of Sydney goals washes away Port Adelaide season. I'm channeling Craig from Monday Night's Craig, like Macca, because it's that kind of go with negative and then anything else is a bonus. What I would like.
Positive headline.
Go ahead. What's your
my positive headline? Would be Power win midfield battle over struggling Swans.
My headline is Port Adelaide. That would be something like riding the wave of success for 2017 gives new hope to Port Adelaide, with Paddy having a ripper game and just absolutely handing and just welcome back. We just see him just blossom, like we just that third quarter, bottle that third quarter of the game and raise that to the next level, of course, and have that all game and just get excited. And
or another potential headline of Port Adelaide, were we wrong? Question mark. I highly doubt they would admit to being wrong, but we can only hope. As I said, I'm hoping we can at least try and get a win this week would be nice. I said I'm saying it'll be close. Hopefully, we can just get over the line. I'll be happy with that.
All right, mate. Well, let's get into the mix. Let's talk about what we are going to see on the weekend. We've got, obviously, we talked about the newbies. Almost Ryder is a newbie as well for us. We've got, obviously, we talked about the 4 kind of debutants. No Cracker, he will be suspended. No MP. It's going to be really tough without those guys. Well, it's Jarman MP after from round 2 onwards, because he'll come in. I'm sure there'll be a spot for him. He had a brilliant for the time he was playing at on the ground, etc. He was impressive throughout the pre-season. So I'm really looking forward to him personally having a really best season so far. I really think it's important for him to do that. So, and I think he's shown all the signs, and from what we've heard about his pre-season's been pretty top notch. And so, looking forward to seeing and expecting for him to go really well this year.
Oh, definitely.
So Brett Eddy comes in. I think he's going to really change that forward line. Do you want to go through? I'd like to go through midfield, defence, and the forward line, and just have a chat about our pros and cons. We've got about 15 minutes to go, so let's talk a bit about. Let's try to kind of predict and strategise a win for Port Adelaide here. So we've got. Let's start with the back line. It looks like Ken, obviously with Brody coming back, he really wants to have an experienced back line that gels really well together, and there's what's the word I'm looking for? As minimal unrest and unfamiliarity. They really want the guys to really just to be really, I guess, kind of well gelled. So Cleary, we've got Burn-Jones, Homsch, Jonas, Hartlett, Houston, Broadbent. I think we've got a strong defence. We can actually have Tringave go there if we need. I'm pretty comfortable about that back line all year, let alone against Sydney. I'm obviously worried about Buddy. So who goes on Buddy? Homshi?
I would have to say it'll either be Cleary or Jonas.
Well, let's talk about Cleary for a sec, Craig, because I think Cleary has always been groomed to be the next Carlisle. When you look at Cleary, and for the fans that are listening, you guys, if you've seen Cleary live, he's a big boy, and as he builds up even stronger over the next couple of years, I think, even giving Cleary the role right now wouldn't hurt, actually. Give him that confidence straight away, start him on there, and if Hampshire needs to go back on him, so be it.
Yeah, I worry about Hump on Buddy, though, that's the thing.
I agree, yeah, but I think his discipline, he's got a bit stronger over the years, but Buddy's going to do what Buddy does against anyone, really. You just want to minimise that as much as possible and block the avenues. You want to obviously kind of look out for that long raking. I think Carlisle underestimated that a lot. He'd be still, he's 16 metres out and suddenly, bugger. You really got to be on this guy. You just got to be sticking on. You can't just let him run around you.
Yes.
And Honch does that really well. He frustrates. That's why I beg to differ on Honch at pinch hitting or supporting or being the double checking, double teaming on Buddy at times. So
yes, but then you don't just have Buddy to worry about in that forward line.
That's exactly right. So you said Gary Rowan's not playing. So
No Rowan?
Sorry?
No Rowan.
So in their forward line, who have we got? We've obviously also got Kurt Tippett to worry about.
Yes.
Well, is this where who's our tallest? I mean, this is the concern. This is where Trengove would have gone on him. So
correct.
Who and also too, it's funny. I think now this ground at SCG is the last ground you want to have suddenly Eddie and Paddy Ryder and also Dixon and Trengove all trying to fight for a spot in that little 15-metre area. It's really ridiculous. This is almost justified straight away. Sorry, apart from this game, Trengove will be in the forward line from next week. Because he's nearly near the forward line when he's in the back line. The ground's that small. I mean, yeah. What's your thoughts on that? And seeing how do we play the SCG when it comes to our in particular, this question to you would be in relation to looking at our back line and the way we kind of bring the ball forward to the forward 50 on such a small ground. Where is Trengove's most influential position on the ground?
That is a good question. I'd say that with the way Hinkley's probably going to structure up the team, he'll probably have Trengove playing in forward line. I have a sneaky feeling you might be right with Hompshon Franklin and perhaps Cleary on Tippett.
Okay.
Leaving Jonas to be that sort of floating defender.
Yeah, because they've got all their forwards generally after that are all small forwards. So I haven't really looked at their team. Obviously, their team's not out to tomorrow, so be interesting to see.
I'm going by their last team from the grand final. Basically, out of their full forward line, only one of them's playing, and that's Kurt Tippett. Ben McGlynn's retired, and Tom Papley is injured. Their half forward line, Tom Mitchell gone, Lance Franklin, and Luke Parker.
Luke Parker is a bit of a dangerous forward and dangerous
footballer
in general. Yep. Luke Parker's the one I get worried about.
Yeah, Luke Parker worries me, but he's a smaller boy, isn't he? So you'd have to have someone like that would be where Brody would probably be on Parker, I'd say.
Okay, yeah, good point. Yeah, because he'll be in the half.
But my biggest concern is Brody ready to go? No pre-season, nothing.
It'll be really fascinating to see their side and what happens.
Or will they try and put someone like Houston on Parker?
Yeah, you know what? Dan Houston would match up really well with him, actually. Would you be justified in saying Houston just stick on him for the game? Have a crack at it.
Potentially.
Early start.
Potentially.
Yeah. Stick with him all game. If he goes in the midfield, then maybe a little different, but then from outside, then you're back on him again or whatever.
Oh, if he goes in the midfield, he just goes on whoever he replaces in the midfield, and Power Pepper can go on Parker.
Yeah.
A bit of a rough up.
That's right. Hey, there is those little moments where you look at some of the players and potential, and if we play to our best, I'd still say that, look, if we play to our best and Swans are also playing their best, it's one of those games where it's just toe-to-toe. Like I said to you, I think that I'd be really proud of Port Adelaide with that. It'd be great signs for the rest of the year. But potentially, Port Adelaide could play to their best, and Sydney, with their potential weakness to get, first round, they have been known to slip up early in the season and just not be switched on. There is players out, so there's that chance that Port Adelaide can expose that. That doesn't mean that they're going to suddenly be a non-existent Sydney out there, but obviously you really want to be putting your best 22 in the park, regardless of how good you are and how good your opposition, especially in round one. Obviously, it's not just. Let me have a chat to you about this one too, Craig. The importance of round one, as opposed to the fact that there's 4 points on the line 7 days later, and it is just the first round. How much of importance do you place on getting off to a good start?
Oh, getting a good start can be really, really good, but at the same time, a good start could just be hiding other things. I mean, two perfect examples, Sydney, over the last few years, bar last year, they had horrible starts and still making finals and pretty much making grand finals. And then on the flip side, last year, North Melbourne won their first 11 games straight, wasn't it?
Yep.
And then they just fell into a heap and just barely limped into the finals.
Yeah, exactly.
So great starts don't necessarily mean great finishing.
No, well said. Okay, so we're looking at now our midfield. How do you kind of shape up the midfield? Do you put Wingard in there straight away per the hype and the press over the season? Again, let's talk about that ground, the SCG. So is he better off being straight away? Because I'm looking at him being in a half or flank would be a very scary position to see him.
I would rather play him there.
I really hope that if Ken, it would excite me to see Chad the half or flank straight away, because it gives you. Yeah, go ahead.
To be quite honest, I'd be happy if our half forward line consisted of Wingard.
All right, let's talk about that. The forward,
either Dixon or Eddie, either one I'd be happy with at centre half forward, and Gray, Robbie Gray.
Gray, okay, yep.
I'd be happy to see that sort of, or even switch Robbie Gray for Travis Boak on the half forward. You have one of those two playing half forward, and have the other one as the centre.
See, I always picture
just rotate those two through.
Boaky in the midfield. Well, if you're looking at Boaky and Gray, then yeah, I'd put Gray in the middle straight away and Boaky outside. But obviously, I see Boaky is a powerful midfielder, so maybe even you kind of need to kind of just have. See, you got Power Pepper as well. I would straight away. Ollie and SPP are in the middle already straight away.
Yeah, I'd be having Ryder, Ruck, Wines, Power Pepper, and
Gray,
the followers.
Yep.
And have either Gray, Boak, have that area be rotated through with a few other, with obviously Power Pepper and Ollie getting a little rest here and there as well.
So we've got obviously looking at that. Let's go stick to what we're talking about, the forward line there. So we've seen Eddie. So Eddie now joining the forward line. Are we putting Brett in the full forward position, or again for starters? Let's look at his position. Is he going to be lined up as centre half forward or full forward?
I would probably say with what I've been seeing, he'll probably be more of a full forward.
Yeah, I'd predict he'd be the full forward for the year, actually. I was thinking just in that Schultzy kind of role, so I don't think they'll ever muck around with that, barring any just form demands.
But hopefully we will see this year what Ken wanted last year, which never really took to fruition, was Dixon Schultz forward line, which obviously we never really got to see to its full potential with both players not being at their best for most of the year. Yeah,
well, it goes to what I was saying last week about what Ken was saying about the whole kind of looking at Dixon does play a role when, a lot of 2 or 3 players are going on Dixon, and some of our forwards have got to then kind of own up to the fact that they've got an opportunity to kind of be influential in the play because they're free and they need to kind of make an impact.
Yes.
So we look at Westhoff.
Yeah, so that's...
Is Westhoff's in centre half forward? Eddie, we've got... who are we looking at forward line now in our no, so we don't have Sam Gray. We're looking at Carl Amon. Do we even start Carl Amon in there now in the forward line? Who else are we looking at? We've got... we don't put Need out there now, so who are you looking at in our lining up in our forward line now? We've got Wingard.
Yes.
Westhoff, Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to be our sneaky forward, like playing the Need role? Pollock in there. In that.
You could rotate him through the wing. I can see Pollock rotating from the wing to a half forward or a pocket role. That could be definitely the case.
Now, look, let's talk just quickly before we go. Magpies. Well, by the way, just to finish up, so Port Adelaide, Sydney, New South Wales, Port Adelaide supporters group have got a little do on beforehand at the RSL, the Paddington RSL. So I've put that up on the Portress podcast Facebook page and up in Twitter with the information for that. Have a little look out for that information. Kevin Martin will be speaking to us next week to review the game. Yes. We should hopefully have Mark Lovin with us as well. What else am I going to need to just quickly chat about with that? So, no, that's little get-together. I've got some more information here. Here we go. 232 Oxford Street, Paddington, just a short walk from the SC to the SCG. Be there for 1:30 p.m. So there is a few spots to be up for grabs to be doing the banner and jumping on the ground beforehand as well. There'll be a chance to win a Guernsey signed by our newest 200 club member in Travis Boak. So the post-match function also will be held at the Level 2 Sports Bar in the Noble Stand, just right above where the cheer squad sits, straight after the game with Daniel Norton, the club's general manager of media, as the MC for the post-match celebration. So make sure you go there, guys, after the game, and people who are listening that are going to be there. Cheer loudly for us and support us, support the boys. Anything else you wanted to chat about before we just go into chat about the Maggies, mate?
No, not really. I think I've said all I need to say for this week.
Excellent. No, let's hope Port Adelaide, their power, get over the line. Will be interesting to see how we've got so much more and amazing stuff to chat about next week, because then it's all on. We're either depressed next Wednesday or we're just cock a hoot and just pinching ourselves. Magpies are playing Sturt, and that game again is tomorrow night.
Yes,
I believe tomorrow night, a bit earlier in the evening or something. So I don't have that details in front of me as such. But
I believe it's where was it? I think it's 7:30.
Yep. Okay.
I believe there's a reserves game beforehand, and then
we'll call the club. Have a little look on the club's website. I'll probably put up something on Portress podcast about the details leading up to it. I might do something overnight tonight, Wednesday night. So the Maggies, hopefully, I was just thinking when we're looking at the players there, just to finish off chatting about. It's amazing we're not chatting about Brendan Archie. I worry about what I want him to be getting a chance of playing for the Power this year. But when you look at now, potentially, we might kind of have Sydney wallop us, and he sees an opportunity playing in the Freo game. In a way, that's almost a worry. It's not a good sign for us. So, but I'm concerned for him as well, and I've really loved watching his career and him blossom. So, I'd like to. I'm hoping that he's not in the bad books with the club, with the coach, so to speak. He's if you look at someone like Watts for Melbourne. And you can hear about how Goodwin and Watts' relationship has been over the summer, and I think his fitness was an issue or something. So I'd be fascinated to know the true reason why Ken has essentially almost had Brendan be a forgotten player in the side.
I was actually thinking, as I said at the end of last year, that he was probably going to be traded, but obviously that didn't happen. So. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, even last week with the Port Adelaide Magpies game, he wasn't even mentioned. It's like, I don't know what's going on with him. So, as I said, there was a lot of players that weren't mentioned in that write-up. They really didn't talk about any bad players. They just said, oh yeah, this player was good, this player was good, this player was good, but nothing about, well, we're a bit concerned about so-and-so. Oh, he played okay in spurts. None of that. It's just, I've got it back up in front of me again for that. So Jesse Palmer's listed on there as having a breakthrough, playing some good football. You've got Willem Drew being listed as playing good football. You've got Logan Austin. And Luke Reynolds and all that as well. You've got all these players that are getting mentioned, but he wasn't one of them.
Not good. I fear that I've a bad time to leave Adelaide and be in the Gold Coast when the Maggies might actually do well. You've got a feeling that how will the Maggies go this year? We'll be chatting about them. I'd like to leave at least 10 or 15 minutes sometimes aside about how they're going, or at least obviously, as with this podcast has always been, Craig, it's one of those kind of, as soon as it came on board was when the whole, 2014 blending of the Maggies and Power. And so when you talked about the Maggies players, it was because it was filled with obviously Power reserves players, so to speak, if you want to use that term. So we will be chatting about the Maggies games throughout the year, I imagine, and putting a bit more time to it and then some highlights, etc., which I really love. I've always kind of, and I think it matters more in a way now because of the fact that it's the lifeblood of our future in a lot of those players, hopefully, AFL stars of the future. So, how do you feel like we'll go?
I reckon we'll do well this year. We've got a really strong side. I mean, we've brought in a lot of new talent through the Power. We've been able to hold on to a lot of the good players from last year as well. I mean, with the addition of guys like Lynett, Era, Laddams, I reckon they're going to be good additions to the team. And I think we're still working on finalising the side as well. I think we've still got a couple of spots open, so it'll be interesting to see who we put in there.
Is there any strong sides in the SANFL that you feel like will be pretty dominant this year, or is it pretty fairly even? The Eagles always do well.
I'd say the Eagles probably do well. Norwood's one of those half teams.
Very nice. We don't have to play them round one and get a spanking this time. We get to play Glenelg.
Yes. I'd say Sturt will probably still be somewhat strong, even though they did get rated of a few players.
Sure.
South, I think, will be an interesting team. They have lost what could be considered two of their best players. So
yeah, Era and Eddie.
I don't think North's going to do well.
No.
No, they're still, even with
poor Joshy Carr.
Even with their coach Cam. No, why am I drawing a blank with his name? Why am I drawing blanks tonight?
I mentioned his name a second ago. Poor Joshy Carr. Josh Carr.
Yes, Josh Carr. I don't know how well they're going to go this year. I mean, that first trial game for them against us was just brutal. So, I think the Doggies will be okay this year. I don't think there was really heaps of in the way of team changes for the SANFL teams to this year.
Okay.
I think they're all pretty solid and pretty much stayed the same. With only a few changes. As we were talking about just a few weeks ago with the draft, there wasn't many South Australian players taken in the draft last year. So a lot of those young kids that were expecting to go to the AFL never went, so they're still playing.
We've still got Will Snelling playing for us as well, so that's another strong player. Snelling, I mean, we've got a very strong side. We've taken a lot of the SANFL talent. When you look at I don't think Eddie will be playing in the SANFL much for the Maggies. I don't think he will be playing in the power a lot from what I see, so it'll be interesting to see how our forward line goes. We've obviously got Logan Austin. He generally will see a lot more backline. He's in the defence for us, isn't he, Ashton?
Yes. Yes, I'm still hoping to see him back in the power side. I was really excited with him last year, and
he's tall
I think
too.
he deserves to be in there.
He would. If he had been fit and everything, I reckon he'd be playing against. He'd be defending against Tippett or something this week. So.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me. But then out of our other three defenders that are in the team, who would you remove to have him in?
Yeah, exactly. Fascinating.
I would unfortunately have to say, out of the three, I would pick Jonas to be out of the team.
Potentially, he would almost. That's why I wonder if Jonas can kind of. He reminds me of who was in our side that was similar, Matty Thomas. That type of player where you've got to reinvent yourself in the midfield or in the wing, and I wonder how much he can be a strong defender for us going forward. Interesting. Just to finish off with, guess who I forgot to mention in the forward line, who I especially think will, in a wet Sydney SCG game, be very important. And, wow, I'm really looking forward to seeing this guy have a ripper year, is Aaron Young. So he can be he's the way he can play can be so dangerous and capitalise on the attention going to the big men, whether it be even trying to look at how the structure is at the SCG as opposed to any other ground. Youngie can really capitalise here. Big game for him. He can kick a lot of goals in this game. It's like he can kick 3 to 4 goals and be a heavy influence, hopefully on a winning side. The thing about Youngie is he can actually have a great game and still we lose. So there's that's always one of those things where the rest of our team, is not there, but Youngie's there. So I don't want to see that. I'd rather see him being part of a side that there's a lot of scoreboard pressure from a lot of our players. But I feel like him playing really well will be go a long way to us kind of playing really well as well. So I think he's not just for this game too. I'm thinking forward line for him throughout the year. I'm looking forward to him only just getting better than what he was even last year.
Oh, definitely. No, I think he'll do very well. He played some really good football for us last year. There were times, though, where I thought the club was misusing him and trying to, I would say, put too much on top of him. Especially, what was it? GWS last year. That game really annoyed me when we decided to put him and Sam. I think it was Sam Gray or Brendan Archie. It was one of those two, and they were the two in the middle, and we didn't have Ollie out there, didn't have Boat. And I'm like, why are we running? Oh, it was actually all three. It was Young, Gray, Sam Gray, and Brendan Archie. They were the three in the middle. I'm like, what the hell are we doing? Why are we running all three of them at once in the middle? You've got to balance it out with some more experienced players, especially against a team like GWS.
Exactly.
It just as long as they use him properly, I'll be happy. Interesting.
Mate, have a lovely weekend, enjoying the game, chill out from your television there.
I will.
And, we'll talk to you next Wednesday, and hopefully it's with, excitement, happiness, cheering. Hopefully we're all in good spirits. Either way.
Yes.
All right, mate. Thanks very much. We'll catch you next week. Thanks very much for listening, Portress podcast listeners, true believers, New South Wales Port supporters, and travelling fans to the SCG. Cheer loudly, and we'll see you all next week. Go the Power!
Go to Power!